By factual definition, Lakewood is a residential neighborhood, developed following World War I and now virtually fully built. By philosophy, Lakewood is a small, stable, upper-middle-class white American town. The fact that it lies near the heart of the nation's 8th largest city is incidental. The city plan department maps lump into Lakewood much of what used to be East Dallas, and certainly Lakewood has umbilical ties to a community that was for 8 years an incorporated city before its annexation by the city of Dallas in 1890. But old-line Lakewooders put the boundaries at the Lakewood Shopping Center and Lakewood Country Club, White Rock Lake, Mockingbird Lane, and Abrams Road, or to the furthest west, Skillman Avenue. The forces that made this community in the beginning are still operative. Lakewood was developed at the outset as a place for people to live, one family to a house, on earth that they owned. The man who did the developing is still in business and still articulate about what a pleasant neighborhood ought to be.
I think probably the secret of the whole development is that it was developed on a basis that would attract good home buyers. See, somebody wanted to live in a nice section. We wanted a residential section, not an apartment section.
That hasn't changed very much, though. Even now, with apartments all over the rest of town, there are not very many in Lakewood and Westlake.
As far as I know, there are, I don't believe there are any apartments out here. See.
Would you like to see any? A lot of people would.
No, we don't want apartments out here.
Why?
Because it's more restrictive with nice residential property for private families, for private homes.
Most of the business that was to serve Lakewood was confined to one area, the Lakewood Shopping Center, built in 1920 and one of the oldest of its kind in the United States. It was for years the downtown of the village of Lakewood. And decades before most people even suspected the impact of open space on urban life, the beauty of White Rock Lake and the spreading greens of the Lakewood Country Club were working their magic. Delightful places, man-made or natural, discourage desecration, and much of Lakewood has settled happily between these two broad spaces in some of the prettiest terrain to be found anywhere in Dallas. Many developers have not yet learned that beauty is the best of urban vitamins. Neighborhoods like this one are not subject to blight. Lakewood has always been an irreproachably correct address rather than a highly fashionable one. It is respectable rather than chic. People here go to church on Sunday and try to practice what they hear. They take care of their houses and they work in their yards. They are the material from which pillars of the community come, and some of the most influential citizens in all of Dallas have lived here and live here still. Lakewood's housing patterns only faltered once, in the building boom after World War II, when the siren call of the suburbs was at its height. The big old houses briefly emptied, refilled with newer, younger families, and they are still moving in.
We just like the area. We like University Park and Highland Park, but out here we could really get more for our money than we could in University Park or Highland Park.
It's more like the country, and the houses aren't so close together, and the people seem to be so nice.
Also, we like the lake about 4 minutes away. We can get on our bikes and ride down to the lake and sail or go bike riding. And I just like it because it's like living in the country out here, and the access is good. It takes just a few minutes to get to the office.
What everybody wanted in the way of community action was expressed in the early projects of the Avalon Sewing Club, a group of ladies who seldom sewed, but certainly did lots else.
We started with one kind of age group, then it began to include the whole family in each case, but they were mainly about 6-year-olds at that time. And there was quite a group of them. There was about 7 of the 6-year-olds and 32 children on the whole block.
Well, what were some of the things that you did?
Well, they had, in the summertime, it was a case of one neighbor would tell stories in the mornings, and then during the day they played, and maybe a picnic would erupt in someone's backyard, just hot dogs and things like that. And then by nighttime, almost every night, there was anywhere from 5 to 15 or more that would be out playing things like kick the can.
They seemed to enjoy it. And then Molly made puppets. Taught them to make puppets.
That's where the puppet club started. No, the mother that had all the children in her yard or her backyard or her den or her front porch was allowed, with the agreement of all the others, to discipline those children. And I think that's why the kids all feel like all of us are their mothers.
Is this sort of thing still going on in Lakewood, as far as you know?
Yes,
it is.
on Lakewood.
And the 4th of July, there is a parade party that gathers on a vacant lot over on Lakewood. So another group of younger women, parents and all, are, I think, doing the same thing. And I think they have a Halloween thing too, don't they? Mm-hmm. So it's going on, and it's just great to see these houses turn from our age group to a younger one, and it keeps our schools and the neighborhood going.
Lakewood thought people who bought their own homes made the best neighbors and kept the best neighborhood, and so they decided they didn't want any other kind. The multiple zoning policies of the city had always been a sore point, and the indiscriminate development along Gaston and Live Oak Avenues after World War II did nothing to build the Lakewood homeowners' confidence. Over the years, they gathered themselves into a loose but formidably effective pressure group, with sometimes more power than wisdom. A few duplexes built in the late 40s are slowly being bought and converted to single-family residences. Any other multiple-family applications are sternly and emotionally refused. What has happened to the Bobolinks golf course may indicate that that policy has been pursued not wisely, but too well. In the 60s, 4 applications for zoning change on this pleasantly wooded acreage, traversed by a creek, were adamantly opposed. One of those asked for townhouses and promised 12 acres of open space and preservation of the creek. No matter. Developers gave up, asked for, and were granted single-family use. The density will not be appreciably different, but most of the trees and the whole character of the creek are gone. The Lakewood Shopping Center was neglected long enough to be seriously threatened. Strip zoning edged in a parasitic scab up Abrams Road. With the joining of the new Columbia Avenue-Abrams Road connection, this promised to become the city's newest Lemon Avenue. A stop has been put to that. Lakewood businessmen have been working devotedly with the city plan department to evolve some imaginative long-range plans that allow that venerable shopping center to move into its old age with style and new effectiveness.
In this system, we've brought the traffic around the center, and we've built the center in a pedestrian sort of a circulation. The people were able to move through it very easily. And all of the shops have easy access to the parking. It's an excellent system that you've prepared. Now here's some ideas of what this center might look like. This is looking north on Abrams. That would be the library on your left. Here we're talking about a partial mall, a mall with parking areas, tree cover. The tree cover would fit in beautifully with your surrounding neighborhood. It would make it a natural walking transition from the housing in the area to walk into the center.
In this last plan would make where Abrams up the north comes around and hits Gaston would be a sizable interchange, would it not? Because red lights and stacked up and so forth, because that's where all your Abrams traffic, all your Gaston traffic would cross now, rather than at the intersection where they are at present.
Right.
Just building a new center in here, or redoing this center is not going to be the answer to all of our problems. It's got to be an overall community effort. And to me, this is just one part of what we're trying to do in this part of the city. We're trying to attract people back towards the center of the city with this new access downtown, the Columbia Avenue Freeway. The gasoline problems that have become a reality here recently. There's an awful lot of people that are living way out north that are going to become interested, in my opinion, and I think the opinion of a lot of people in this area,
At present, Lakewood is not a neighborhood for dissenters. Its voting patterns are traditionally conservative, and its activist profile on the cutting edge of change is very low. This may be because the people who live in Lakewood have found what they want. What they want is rooted in traditional American values, the integrity and devotion of the family, and the communion of the several families for the neighborhood's good. These are, of course, unassailable precepts, and because they are, many people feel that things in Lakewood will never change. But though the traditional American values do not change, the implementation of them does. And that kind of change is all around Lakewood. Its secondary schools, J.L. Long Junior High and Woodrow Wilson High, draw students not only from Lakewood, but from much more volatile areas to the west and south of it. And cultural clashes have occurred in those schools. The incidents have not been serious, and they have been dealt with sensibly, but they represent the shock waves of the future. How fully that is recognized in Lakewood is open to question.
Lakewood itself, I would visualize as being a whole lot like it is right now. I think we're just sort of in another generation of the type of people who've been in Lakewood for over 40 years. A lot of the people who live here now are children of the people who came here when they were first married many years ago. And I would assume that Lakewood would remain stable and continue to be upgraded and the older homes remodeled as time goes by. And I think if you drive through the area, you'll see right now there's a lot of this going on.
But not even small, stable, upper-middle-class white American towns stay the same, except in memory. And the changes around Lakewood herald the probable changes within it. What is predictable is that the enduring standards of decency and human value that made Lakewood what it is will accommodate to the mix of the future and make it not only as good a community as ever, but in fact better.